Welcome to this instructional video on completing applications for the Living Roadway Trust Fund Grant Program. If you have additional questions after the video, you can always reach out to the Living Roadway Trust Fund Program Coordinator, Tara Van Was, whose contact information is provided here and will be shown again at the end of the video. Additional information and materials can be found at iowadot.gov/LRTF. So what is the Living Roadway Trust Fund? LRTF is established by Iowa Code 314.21 to ensure that roadside vegetation is preserved, planted, and maintained to be safe, visually interesting, ecologically integrated, and useful for many purposes. This is largely done through the implementation of Integrated Roadside Vegetation Management, or IRVM. IRVM originates in Iowa Code 314.22 as an alternative to conventional roadside management practices. In particular, IRVM emphasizes the use of native plant communities in Iowa roadsides. So who can apply for grants? LRTF grants are open to Iowa cities, Iowa counties, and statewide applicants, which could be state agencies, nonprofits, or other private groups or individuals. In order to apply for a grant, cities and counties must have an IRVM plan on file with the Iowa DOT by the grant deadline of June 1st. If you are interested in starting an IRVM program in your city or county, please contact the LRTF coordinator. When you're ready to start on your application, the first step is to review the LRTF funding guidelines. These can be found by going to iowadot.gov/LRTF and clicking on Grants in the left-hand menu. The funding guidelines have a wealth of information about the grant program, including specific application instructions and discussion of eligible project types. We recommend reading through these guidelines and becoming familiar with them. As you begin your application, you'll want to look at the Eligible Project Type section of the funding guidelines to see where your project fits. Eligible project types include demonstration projects, education projects, outdoor learning environments, electronic equipment, specialized equipment, gateways and community entryways, scenic value protection and enhancement, planning, design, and professional services, research projects, roadside inventories and remnant vegetation surveys. Other related projects such as seed storage facilities and special staff training. Please read the description for your project type in the funding guidelines carefully, as it will have information about whether a match is required, if there is a maximum grant amount that can be requested, and if there is information required for the application specific to your project type. Like the funding guidelines, the application can be accessed from the LRTF webpage. The application is in a web-based format to be filled out and submitted online. The application is not compatible with Internet Explorer, so please use another browser such as Google Chrome, Microsoft Edge, or Firefox. In the pop-up window, check the box and click Next to begin the application. Enter the applicant, which would be the agency, organization, county, or city, and the authorizing official. For counties, the authorizing official is typically the county engineer, the County Conservation Board Director or Board Supervisor, or the roadside manager. For cities, the authorizing official is typically the mayor or a city council member. Next, enter the project coordinator or manager. That is, the person who is proposed to be responsible for implementing the project. The next section is notification for work in right-of-way projects. If you're going to be planting in right-of-way as part of your project, You must notify the jurisdiction that is responsible for the right-of-way. If you've already gotten any necessary clearances, fill in the appropriate information documenting this. The next section is project information. Select the appropriate project funding category from the drop-down, which would be either state, county, or city. Then select the appropriate grant applicant type from the drop-down. If you're a city, make sure you choose appropriately based on your population size, above or below 10,000. Next, enter project type, which can be found in the funding guidelines. Put in your best estimate for project start and end dates. If it is a project that will occur over multiple years, it should be broken into phases with a new grant application submitted each year for each separate phase. Note that in some web browsers, you may need to widen the web page for the forward arrow to show in the correct location on the calendar. The next box is the concise project summary. This should be a short narrative that describes the basic premise of the project. It should be comprehensive but brief, typically no more than 1 or 2 paragraphs. This section should also address the big picture history and goals for future success of your city or county's specific IRVM program. How will your request help meet the goals of your IRVM program? The detailed project description is where the bulk of information about your project will go. This section should be much more detailed than the concise summary so that someone unfamiliar with the project can understand exactly what's being proposed. Additionally, this section should discuss how your request connects to eligible IRVM activities, namely what IRVM goals will be achieved. These goals are listed in Section 2A of the funding guidelines. For equipment requests, describe what the equipment will be used for, where it will be used, and how these uses meet the goals of IRVM. Another important component of the detailed project description is justification for the request. Why is this project needed? For equipment requests, did you do any research comparing different models, or talking to other IRVM programs to see what has worked best for them? If so, state that information here. The next section is the project cost summary. This is where you enter the breakdown of all project costs. Work items should be separated logically. For the first item, enter 1 under line number. Then enter a description of the work plan item. The description should have enough detail to substantiate the funding request. Then enter the amount for that item. You can repeat this for other work plan items by entering a 2 below. This can be repeated up to 20 times. The total project cost will be automatically calculated at the bottom of the page. The next section is the match summary. This section provides an opportunity to list all cash and in-kind contributions. In-kind contributions include non-cash contributions to the project, such as the estimated value of labor or the use of existing equipment. If needed, a schedule of labor and equipment rates can be found on the LRTF website. In the line item descriptions, be sure to relate how the in-kind contribution is directly connected to the project. Work that is already being done as part of your IRVM program is not eligible. It needs to be specific for completion of the project for which you are requesting funding. As mentioned earlier, depending on your project type, a match may or may not be required. See your project type description in the funding guidelines to verify whether there is a required match. Under the Grant Request Summary, project costs, matching funds, and matching percentage will be automatically calculated, but you must manually enter the grant amount requested. Choose your preferred reimbursement frequency from the drop-down menu. The minority impact statement is required to be completed. If you have further questions about completing this, please reach out to the LRTF coordinator. The final section is application certification. The applicant info will be filled in automatically from the start of the application. First, you will want to attach any supporting information. This could include additional documents that serve to clarify or enhance the reviewer's understanding of the request. Examples include maps, photographs, project plans, or species lists. Some project types have required information, such as letters of support or equipment price quotes, so be sure to check the funding guidelines for your project type. Please merge all of your supporting information into a single PDF document before attaching. Your attachment can then be added by clicking the blue paperclip icon, then click here to upload. From here, you can drag and drop your single PDF document into the window or click Select Files to Upload to browse to the file location on your computer. Once that is done, click Upload in the lower right. The paperclip should now have a 1 by it. To submit your application, check the boxes on the submission checklist, then click the blue Submit and Sign box to enter your signature as the preparer of the application. Once you have signed the application, an orange Finalize and Submit button will appear in the lower right. Click this button and it will bring up a new window to enter the name and email for the authorizing official. Hit Continue to email the application to the authorizing official for final signature. You may want to notify the authorizing official to be on the lookout for an email from Iowa DOT and to check their spam folder if they did not receive it. From the email, the authorizing official will be able to open the application, review the application for completeness, and sign by clicking the Signature Here box at the bottom of the application. After signing, the authorizing official will click the orange Finalize and Submit button. Please note that the application will not be complete until the authorizing official signs the application and submits. If the authorizing official is also the one who completes the initial application, then they will end up signing twice. First as the preparer of the application, and second as the authorizing official through the email link. The deadline for applications is June 1st. After submission, applications will be reviewed by the Technical Advisory Committee. Applications will generally be evaluated based on the project's connection to IRVM activities, how well the project description describes what will be accomplished, a project budget that is accurate and adequately itemizes project costs and matching contributions, and supporting documentation that clarifies and strengthens the application. In early July, the committee will meet to make funding recommendations. Final recommendations will be sent to the Iowa DOT administration by August 1st, with the goal of having contract agreements sent to recipients before the end of August. Some tips for filling out your application. Be sure to describe how your project connects to the goals of IRVM. There is a list of IRVM goals on page 2 of the funding guidelines. The more of these goals you can show that your project meets, the better. Be sure to include justification for what you are requesting by clearly spelling out the need and include specifics. For example, if you need a new seed drill, try to include information such as how many acres of roadside you planted last year, or how much you expect to plant in the coming years. The old seed drill is 15 years old and repeatedly breaks down. We selected the new model specifically because it handles native prairie seed well. Make sure you include all of the required information for your project type, which is specified in the funding guidelines. You might consider writing out your detailed project description ahead of time and having someone unfamiliar with the project review it prior to submitting. Make sure your budget reflects what is described in your narrative. If you have any additional questions or encounter any problems with your submittal, please reach out to the LRTF coordinator. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. We hope it helps your application process go smoothly.